Hello and welcome to our first episode of the Tech Talk in 2023. I'm very happy that's finally working. Everything is set up in the background and we can present some technical stuff around DeFiChain working in the background. But before we start with our guest today, I would recommend to subscribe to the channel, press the bell button so that you will not miss any show in the future. And please give us a like if you like this format and want further shows in the future. And with this, I directly jump to U-Zyn. Welcome back on
Hey,
stage. Happy to be to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you, DC. This few weeks ago when we were together, so good to see you there. And thanks for having me again on the show.
Correct. A few weeks ago, we arranged this tech talk, and you said, I have to think about what's happening on DeFi chain this year and beyond. DeFi Meta Chain is what? Beyond DeFi Meta Chain already in development, and you are thinking one step ahead. Really great. I mentioned it before. I have no clue what you are thinking about, and I think a lot of the community members also not. So give us some insights in your thoughts in what you are planning this year and beyond. Really looking forward. I would have a look on the chat. So if there are questions there, I can put it here on the screen and maybe you can answer it if there is one.
Sure, happy to take any questions after this. And thanks once again, DC, for hosting. So today's session, I don't think it's going to be very long because I was also planning to have other developers as well at Persona to talk about a bit more on DeFi chain, on Meta chain updates. But I mean, they're so busy at work right now, so they want to spend more time at work rather than preparing for this. So they might give a better updates on the next tech talk. So I think the next one we're going to have Prasanna doing more of that talk and me give more of the technical updates on Meta Chain. So for this one, I mean, we always need to think about what's ahead, right? Meta Chain is going to be huge. What's beyond that, and we gotta also think about what's the role of DeFi chain in this whole crypto and the whole blockchain ecosystem. What can we bring to the ecosystem here? I think we're getting a lot more attention now by the community, by even the wider crypto community, because our TBR has gone up, getting a lot more attention now. So we want to also present a good roadmap, not really a roadmap, more like a plan on what's gonna be after Meta Chain. Right now, all the focus on Meta Chain and it's good, but what's beyond that? I think we should all have an idea as well where DeFi Chain stands out after that. So with this, I'm gonna share a talk on that. This talk is kind of like a conversation with many people in the community. So community members kind of like getting different ideas and thoughts on where they see DeFi chain is. I think Julian presented that on his Twitter space a couple of weeks back. So this to build a bit more into that. So there's some ideas and there's some real plans is already being researched on. Yeah, with that, I'm happy to take it on to the next sharing. So DZ, can you switch the
Sure,
deck?
then.
All right, thanks. All right, DeFi chain. Yeah, beyond Meta chain. So let me here a little bit. So what's coming up on DeFi chain? Just a quick recap here. Quantum Bridge, also ERC20 Bridge, and the name's now Quantum Bridge, is coming out really soon in I think like 2 weeks or so. I think so. We're going to be looking at DFI tokens or DeFi chain tokens being able to be swapped in a very fast manner to the Ethereum side. So that allows DeFi chain to tap into the wider liquidity on DeFi on Ethereum side. So that's going to be really interesting with that. And DeFi Meta Chain, I think everyone's waiting for this, myself included. It's going to be huge. We talked about it multiple times over the last couple of months now. Just to recap that it's coming really soon. Everyone's working really hard on this. If you want to follow the progress, go to MetaChain on GitHub. You can kind of see the progress, especially the discussion side. So there's a lot of active discussion. Decisions are being made in an open manner, so you can participate in that discussion as well if you have any opinions or things that you've done it before, you can do better in this regard. So it's written in Rust. It's using Substrate as the EVM layer, but it's gonna integrate directly onto a native side. So thanks to Kugi, and I think Oli is the one that also did this graph. So it's also a good explanation on what DeFi Meta Chain is. I'm not gonna get into details because that was in the earlier talk that we've done already. Just a quick recap here. The features that we have on DeFi Meta Chain obviously is full EVM compatibility. So you can expect DeFi Meta Chain to work with MetaMask. So you can build decentralized apps on MetaMask browsers, and like Brave browser, for instance, you can have it. You can use DeFiChain there, and DeFi will be able to be used there. And it will have a seamless atomic token transaction across native and the meta side. So the graph here on the left side kind of explains how that is done, and there will be a token that goes across both sides without using any fuzzy bridge, but it's all consensus based. So it's actually really strong on the native and meta token transitions. And one of the things that I get feedback on from community members, especially because people are building stuff already on Binance or Ethereum, try to anticipate on what they can build on Meta Chain. So one of the things that developers are asking is that, can we have the states on the native side being brought over to Meta side as well? So yeah, the state transition is going to be important because you need to be able to know what's a rate of DUSD, negative rate, what's the oracle price of certain tokens or certain D tokens. So you want to be able to get all of that on native side. So you need to be able to transition the state over from native side over to meta side. So with that, so I jump a little bit ahead. But I mean, DMC, it's huge. I mean, we all know that it's gonna come with a lot of smart contracts. It's gonna come with decentralized apps, NFTs, a lot more community projects, a lot more DeFi. There's already people are building stuff already, and there's some community members already showing off on things that they build, NFTs and projects they share. Yeah, really exciting. Just everyone's just waiting for DMC to be launched. And if you're building things already, I think that what you can do is probably having it on Ethereum. Right now, the gas on Ethereum is kind of cheap, so you can kind of use that. And then there's DFI token in there, so you can kind of use. You can build it on Ethereum right now and kind of like use it to test your application today, because it's going to be 100% compatible on DMC if you want to do that already today. So what is next after this? Right? Moment. Okay, before we get into what's beyond DeFiChain, it's good for us to all look into what are the strengths of DeFiChain. What can we bring to the wider blockchain? What can we bring to the wider ecosystem that other blockchains or other cryptos do not have? So one, obviously, is a native UTXO and EVM support. I don't think any blockchain has that. There's some blockchains that have UTXO and EVM, but they are two separate chains. But on DeFiChain side, it's all considered as one chain, only one consensus layer, but supporting two kind of execution support. So UTXO and EVM support on DeFiChain. So that would be quite unique in the world of crypto. And we have, I think one of the strengths is that we have very, very highly distributed nodes globally, 15,000 nodes globally. It may sound like, for us, because we see these numbers all the time, it may not feel anything to us, but think about the two largest blockchains in the world, Bitcoin and Ethereum. How many nodes do you think they have? If you kind of like get the numbers, Bitcoin has about 10K nodes and Ethereum has about 5K nodes. And these are two of the largest blockchains in the world, and DeFiChain has way more than that, and it's all distributed globally in a very decentralized way. So this is a core strength of DeFiChain. So if we want to think about what's beyond MetaChain, think about what can we use this core strength to do something that's unique in the world of a blockchain that we can add some value to the whole blockchain there. And automation is also a key thing for DeFiChain. I'm going to talk about that quite a bit now. automation is what we have known and get used to it because like rewards getting paid automatically, liquidations getting run automatically. We don't have to trigger anything, just being part of it. You don't have to claim your rewards. Yeah, and commissions like being paid out automatically. So this is all part of DeFi chain where you don't see on any other DeFi blockchains out there. Any other like blockchain that support DeFi like EVM, Ethereum, you don't have automation layer. So these are the core key things that DeFi chain has. So then what can we do with this core strength? Like, so I kind of split the future into three separate sections. So the first one I'm going to call it the highway. I mean, we can change the name later or something, but I just want to kind of like, it's kind of like a classifications of the things that we could bring. So I call it the highway because we want to, the next few features that are in the highway is all about enhancing existing DeFi chain to make it better, to make it faster, to make it more efficient. That's why it's known as the highway. So number one, obviously, is block time improvement. So today we have 30 seconds block time, but generally, if you use DeFi chain, you're waiting about 2 to 3 minutes before your transaction gets mined, because even though it's 30 seconds, but they get mined in like batches. So most times you have to wait for like 2 or 3 minutes. But once you have DMC, it's going to be very clunky for a lot of users who are used to like rapid blocks on Ethereum, on Solana, and all these different blockchains. So it's going to be harder to use. It's not going to be very natural for a lot of these EVM users when they stumble upon DeFi chain. They're going to use it. They're going to say, "Oh, why is this block so slow?" So we have to improve on the block time. So it's very important for DMC usability. So there's already a PR that's being put in to improve the block time, but a lot more testing needs to be done to make sure it's safe, because we need to make sure that like all of this deployed is completely safe. Yeah, so this is one of the key things. So it's part of the highway to making sure that we can move faster, we can move more efficiently in this DeFi chain ecosystem. The next thing is UTXO account upgrades. So currently we have 3 states. I mean, once we have EVM, we're going to have 3 states for every single, let's say for DeFi, we're going to have 3 states. We have UTXO state, we have DST, which is DeFi standard token, or the token that we call it on DeFi chain today. And then we have the meta side, which is we're just gonna call it DST20, like after ERC20. It's not, I mean, just to kind of refer to that token on the EVM side. So we're gonna have 3 states. It's gonna be so confusing for people who write smart contracts, or who stumble upon DeFi chain, or there's 3 states that I need to deal with. It's gonna be so clunky to do that. So the goal is to reduce into 2 states, native DST, so there's no need for like a native UTXO. It can just automatically convert into UTXO if we send DFI, and after that it just stays within DST, so we don't have to deal with the 2 separate states on the native side. So it's so much cleaner. And also accounting system, basically the system that keeps track of token on the native side, can be made so much safer, where it's emulating maybe on the DST20 side, because all of that all sits within a smart contract. So, but on native side, it's a little bit of a legacy system, I would say, where it's not super efficient and not super like clean right now. So we can make that better by uniting both states on the native side and have a also improved accounting system on the native side. So again, these are all things that we do to make sure that DeFi chain runs in a more efficient, in a more user-friendly way for users and so for developers. Because now we're gonna allow, I mean, anyone can now build things on DeFi chain. So we need to improve on also developer happiness also, so that they can build things on DeFi chain. And so I talked about automation. I think I briefly got into this. Okay, yeah, automation right now, if you sync the DeFi chain node, it's been getting slower and slower. If you sync to the later block, it just gets slower and slower because of all this automation that the node has to execute internally. So it needs to be upgraded to a more performant and more scalable way moving ahead, because we're going to have automation on the DMC side as well. So we can actually make use of that to also bring also improve on the native side as well. And this is where I got into earlier on, the state relayer. So for developers that wants to build on the DMC side, you're going to need states on the native side for you to build. For instance, you want to know what's the negative rates of a USD loan. If you write a smart contract, you want to be able to get that condition so that your smart contract can execute based on that condition. So the state relay from the native side over to DMC side is going to be key for that. So there's two stages for this on how the state can be relayed over to DMC side. So the first stage will be available as soon as DMC is live. So it's going to be Oracle based. Basically means that the state on the native side will be relayed through an Oracle, through a smart contracts. So you can call from Solidity. So if you write it's not EVM, it's an EVM. If you write a Solidity smart contract, you can refer to the state. So you can say if USC interest rate is less than, let's say, minus 50%, then you should do this. If it's like more, then you should do this. So you can write smart contracts that like kind of like balances your portfolio or do certain things and do some automation. So the state relay is going to be important to bring that across. And so smart contracts can get all these states. So DSC negative rates, native Oracle price, the native deck states. So all this is going to be a key for developers to build things on DMC side, and also to bring all the cool stuff from the native side over so they get all that states. Okay. But then this is Oracle based.
Yeah, for me it's a kind of API then, or between the two systems. It's just an exchange of information.
It is an API, but then when you are a smart contract, you're living inside the blockchain itself. So you cannot even have any API calls outside of that. So you need to go refer to a smart contract. Yeah, you can think about it like an API. Yeah, but the stage 2 will be consensus based. So this is where you don't need a relayer to bring that across. So every node will just bring that across. So we're gonna have backward compatible support for all these states from stage 1. So if you write a smart contract using the stage 1's call, you can be sure that it's going to work as well once you have stage 2, because it's going to have a backward support there. So you don't have to upgrade your smart contract, or you don't have to smart contract cannot be upgraded unless you have you put in a pattern to allow it to be upgraded. But so we're going to try to have as much possible backward support, so you can have you can make sure that smart contracts will still work once we move to a consensus-based state relayer. So for this, there will be some Solidity upgrades. So we're going to have to add some support on Solidity side. So we're going to have to fork Solidity and add some support on top of. So it's going to be a superset of Ethereum Solidity. Going to have a new call on Solidity side to allow you to call the native state reference. So you can write all these smart contracts on that. So which also brings us to the next point, which is that on the native side, so on the EVM side, you want to be able to call certain actions on the native side. So you're going to need the relayer on towards the other side as well, from the meta side to the native side. I missed out that point on this slide, but yeah, that's also important. So the next group of features will be bridges. I mean, bridge, yeah, we've used that term so much now, but this is beyond the ERC20 bridge that I talked about earlier. So again, like why we talk about bridge? Because liquidity across multiple blockchains are key. If we talk about DeFi, we talk about Web3, we want to be able to link liquidities across multiple blockchains, right? People used to talk about, you want to be a Bitcoin killer, you want to be a Ethereum killer, but I mean, to be real here, do we want to go against Bitcoin? Do we want to go against Ethereum? I think it's not a wise choice here, because we rather work with Bitcoin, rather work with Ethereum to be L2s for them, to be the bridge for them. So if you build on DeFiChain, you can have the UTXO bridge from Bitcoin over to DeFiChain. You can also have EVM bridges to the Ethereum side. So DeFiChain could be seen as a layer 2, as bridges to the key blockchains of the world. So this is where we can position ourselves to be. And if you think about that, like how can we do better with this? So look into our core strength. I think our masternode counts are really high global distribution. And also we have a collateral for Mastodon that's going to be useful. I'm going to cover that slightly later. It's useful for policing because Bridge is relies on witness. Like validators on bridges need to verify certain things that happen. So the bridges today rely on small numbers of validators. So what we can do is we can increase a huge number of validators to make sure that the witness stays more distributed, a lot stronger. So we can solve the problem of collusion and the decentralized problem with bridges today because we already have such a huge number of masternodes that we have in the system of DeFiChain. So just working. I'm gonna call it a sharded coupling bridge. The reason why it's coupling is because if you're a bridge operator, you need to be able to see two chains. You need to see your source chain and you need to see the destination chain as well. So now that we have this huge number of blockchain nodes, I think once we have it, we could probably be having 20,000 masternodes in this whole system. So if we shard it across, let's say, 10 blockchains, and each one of these blockchains are protected by 2,000 nodes, that's really one of the largest bridge in the world that's protected by this huge number of nodes that we have. So let's say if you run a Mastodon, you want to participate in this coupling bridge, you can say, you can just choose one. So you don't have to see all the blockchains that work because that's going to be so heavy and so expensive to run that. So let's say you want to participate in Ethereum, you can run a DeFiChain node plus Ethereum node and participate in this economy to provide witness to token transfer between these two chains. So you're gonna provide to say this token transferred here, you're gonna provide a vote, and it facilitates between token going across the bridges to provide a vote on that witness. So masternodes that participate earn witness rewards. So this is also very key. So if you do that, you get to earn more rewards. So if you can also not choose to do that, even if we have this coupling bridge, so you can just run a DeFiChain Mastodon and just get your staking rewards. But if you participate here, you get more rewards. And also the key thing, because these are witness-based, so Mastodons are able to lie. So collateral is going to be very important here. So if you lie or you cheat, you're going to get a collateral slash. So it's all balance of economy here. So if we need to make sure that the bridge, the witness that they provide must be less than the collateral that they post. So which in our case 20K. So we should not. I mean, just because of the fact it's 20K DFI here, it depends on what the price of DFI is. Let's say it's $1. So every witness, every testimonial that's been provided has to be less than 20K was because it's to disincentivize for the node to lie beyond the collateral that they have. So if you are proven to be lying on that witness, then you're going to get collateral slashed. So this to disincentivize any cheating. So the cool thing, sorry, skip a little bit. So the cool thing here is that these are all real rewards that are being earned, right? Because once a token go across the bridge, you're gonna have to pay a fee for a token to go across. And I just want to say that I just also want to stress that it's a very consistent theme here for DeFiChain or DeFi in general globally to go more towards a real DeFi use case where it's not powered by inflation, but by actual use case. So when a token go across, the person that wants to do that will pay some fee for the masternode to facilitate that exchange. So that's the reward that masternodes earn. So this is all real DeFi that we're talking about here.
Okay, maybe a question here. So if we have these masternodes with connections to other blockchains, for the user, it's possible to come from Solana over DeFiChain and going to Ethereum, or how should I imagine?
Yes, exactly. Yep, they can. So from Solana to DeFiChain, they're gonna go through the Solana DeFiChain bridge, and that will be protected by, let's say, 1,000 nodes that see these two chains. And then once you can then go into Ethereum from there. So you're gonna go to another different set of 1,000 masternodes that protect that side. Yeah.
But that's
NPC, yes.
everything.
Matthew
Every
kind of
Yeah, right, and everything is in the
sorry, I saw the
background,
comment.
and we are the gateway then between blockchains, right? Okay,
Yes, yes,
that was
yep.
the comment you are so happy about.
Matthew saw that like the flash and kind of just picked it up already. Yes, it's gonna be about NPC. That's so right.
Then we
Okay,
go to MPC.
okay, we go to the next one. It's not NPC. It's space elevator. So we go from the highway to bridges and now space elevator. So what is this about, space elevator? It's just a group of, I mean, I'm just naming this like group of features that kind of group them together. So the first one is all about improving DeFi chain, which we call the highway, to make it more efficient. And then bridges is all about connecting to other blockchains to provide liquidity, to pull liquidity and provide liquidity as well. So to connect the movement of tokens. And then the third one, space elevator, is all about okay, so space elevator, what was it? So space elevator is I mean, the term refers to technically if you have a string that's really strong and you can connect a planet to space by just pulling it beyond the gravity pull. So you're just gonna go straight because of the force, right? So it's gonna stay straight. So it allows you to go from planet to space and then from space to another planet, right? So what this is um, again, right? So go back to why we want to have this whole feature. So back to the core strength again. So the core strength, it's automation. We don't see that on other blockchains. So can we provide service to other blockchains? So the pattern here for Space Elevator is to become a vendor to provide services to other blockchains. So we're this DeFi chain planner. We can provide services to other ecosystem outside of our own ecosystem and just having them pay us to do something for them. So automation vendor, DeFi chain can provide automation service to other EVM chains. So for example, I mean, why would they need that? For example, liquidation trigger, conditional execution. Like it's hard to do that on the other EVM side or even other blockchain because you need to create you need to have you create all sorts of games to and then you need to write bots to kind of trigger that. But on this, you can just have a very simple conditional execution on DeFi chain side to allow these conditions to be executed on the other blockchains. So how it works is that the decentralized apps from the other blockchains will then pay DeFi chain for automation. So you will also specify the condition for a certain call to trigger a certain call on the other blockchain. So Mastodon, when you mine a block, you're going to check for the condition on the other side. So if you see the Ethereum side, then you're going to check for condition on the Ethereum side to see if it triggers a call on Ethereum side. So if it's unmet, you're still going to be able to claim a fee as well if you just do a automation condition check, just a tiny amount, because every block just incurs some compute cost on the node itself to also check the condition, right? So if condition is met, then the master on the seed both side would then execute on, let's say, Ethereum side for that call. So let's say trigger liquidation on a vault on Ethereum side. So we can the masternode can, because you can see both sides, you can then trigger liquidation over there. So
Okay.
what that also means, yes,
Maybe a question to make it a
for
little
sure.
bit more clear. If I want to swap on Uniswap, and with this automation, I can create a kind of limit order then. Can say, okay, if the price changes to specific
That's a good
value,
idea.
then execute the swap. Is this the
Yeah,
idea?
that's a really good idea. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's a really good idea. Yeah. So if you trigger liquidation and it's validated by the other nodes that provide that bridge, the coupling bridge, so you can the one that triggers liquidation, or I mean trigger the conditional execution will get paid more. So it's also incentivizing the master nodes to check for a condition and then trigger them when it's the right one. So which also means that if you write a contract on the other blockchains, you need to make sure that the false triggering of that should not cost anything except to the person that calls, except to the node that calls it. So the node will need to spend fees to call that, but it should not be destroying something on the blockchain or on your smart contract side because of a because of a bad call. So, I mean, you can do that, like liquidation, for instance, you will check for all different conditions. So anyone can call liquidation anytime in Ethereum, but they'll always conditional check even on Ethereum side. So, which means that if the node calls it wrongly, it should not destroy the smart contracts on, let's say, Ethereum side or Solana side because of this. But if you call it correctly, then you will be able to claim more rewards from the pool. So it means that now DeFiChain will become a automation vendor for other blockchains, so our Mastodons can then check conditions and then call it. So it's also in our interest as a Mastodon runner to make sure that it's called correctly. So all this will be built in a node to make sure the conditions are. I mean, for most of us, we just run the node and we don't have to care. So all this built in the node itself. So what this means for Mastodon's owner is that you're going to get higher DeFiChain staking rewards because, I mean, with the inflation, I mean, with the deflation of, sorry, not deflation, but the reward is going down over time, we need more of this real staking rewards that come in, right? So this is also a way for us to increase the staking rewards by doing real work here and not through an inflation of DFI. So yeah, again, cool stuff here. So you get more staking rewards. So next thing is secrets. So I think Julian briefly talked about that on the Twitter space. So key problems for smart contracts is that smart contracts are not able to hold secrets because if you have anything on smart contracts, anyone can see it. So there's no way for you to be able to have a smart contract that holds a key and yet no one else can see it. So that limits a lot of things that you can do on the smart contract side. But also because we have such a huge nodes that are being spread around, so we can actually have, just like Matthew said, we can have a MPC way to have these secrets being split into shares and randomly distributed and have a verifiable secret sharing to make sure the secrets are safe within these nodes. You can always test them, but the test should not reveal the secret. So we can then become a secrets vendor to other blockchains, including also DMC, to be able to allow smart contracts to have secrets, and you can then use these secrets to unlock tokens or to do certain things on the blockchain side. So I think this is going to be quite cool. Again, this is very, very early ideas. The secrets vendor part is going to be very, very tricky to really do it right, but on a high level thinking, I think it's doable. Everything else before this is going to be quite clear that it's doable, but secrets vendor, it's going to be a little bit trickier one, which I think is possible. We're going to have to do a little bit more study, a little more research here. So it's very early kind of ideas here on what we can do to provide utility for DFI to other blockchains. So usable by smart contracts from other blockchains to unlock vaults. So they can just basically call, get the secrets to be assembled and then unlock certain things, and then without revealing the true secrets to anyone. So payloads are signed in a distributed manner without any nodes having the full private key. So this is going to be very, very important because otherwise then the private keys will be known by the last node that signs it. So this is going to be very, very important. Yeah, so beyond that, just kind of play around with the pattern here. I think what we can have is we can actually have DeFiChain. If we do this right, we have this sharded bridge right, we can be a marketplace for many blockchains. We can have storage vendors, so we can have a service that provides a storage space for smart contracts to use it, because storing things on smart contracts is very, very costly on Ethereum and all that. So you want to have a kind of an off-chain storage, but a safe off-chain storage. So we can actually be a storage vendor as well here. So someone can build that, then have that storage being sharded across multiple nodes, and then provide the service to other blockchains. Maybe even AI vendor. There's a little bit of hypothetical thinking here, but it's also something for us to think. Like DeFiChain could be a place for you to build services, for you to then allowing like the nodes to become a vendor to other blockchains. So AI vendor is going to be also quite cool. Deterministic AI blockchain. I think AI and blockchain usually doesn't go well together because AI is usually quite fuzzy, because you ask the same question twice, you're gonna get different answers. And blockchain has to be very deterministic, right? You ask the same question, like it has to always give the same answer. So, but if you combine both together, like AI AI is powered by neural network nodes, and then blockchain is also powered by a network of nodes. So if you put both two together, we can use the network to train AI, which means that AI becomes very deterministic. So you can then build a decentralized apps or a prediction app that say, like for example, the World Cup, right? We have Argentina versus France, and they went into the penalty shootout. But if you have the old rule where there's no like time limit for tiebreaker, who will win? It's a very hypothetical question, but an AI, because the deterministic AI could then determine the outcome, so you can probably use that to kind of like build a prediction app that allows you to resolve this in a deterministic way, because it's a hypothetical question, but AI can provide the deterministic hypothetical answer that resolves this bet, right? So something that you could build here on a marketplace for blockchain. So I think DeFiChain, if we do this right, we become L2s, layer 2s for many different blockchains, and we can become a marketplace to allow services to build on DeFiChain that allows all these things to run on multiple blockchains. So and then if you build services for other blockchains, then it becomes, you need to then create incentive for nodes to get onto those services, because every node can choose what service they want to run. Because let's say storage is, let's say a node has a lot of storage, they can say, okay, I'm going to provide storage service. A node has a lot of compute resource, they are going to provide AI service. Maybe GPU, they can provide AI service. So it all depends on the different services they can provide there. So if you write a service for DeFiChain here by using the coupling bridge, you can then create incentive and create this whole payment system and this whole incentive system to entice masternodes to run all these services for other blockchains. So this is some of the ideas on how DeFiChain could be. I mean, the first parts that I talk about in this talk is more, it's real. These are real things that need to solve. The highway, we need to solve that. It's already being a lot. And I mean, some of that's already have even PRs already in for some of those. And for the bridges, so that's also very true that it can be, we need to provide that. It's also very real. It's solvable. And the space elevator ones, where it gets a little bit more hypothetical, more of a future thinking here. So in terms of a roadmap wise, I think this kind of sets like the tone for us for the next, I would say, kind of like 3 to 5 years for us to where we see DeFiChain be, because based on the strengths that we have on EVM and UTXO and the number of nodes that we have, I think it's the core strength that no other blockchains in the world have that today. So let's make use of that and build something great, not only for us, but also for other blockchains as well. So this is kind of the theme for what's beyond DeFiChain, what's beyond DeFi Meta Chain here. Again, like I said, this is not a roadmap. Like it doesn't go in sequential order, but it's kind of like collection of features and upgrades for DeFiChain based on loosely there are 3 groups of naming here. Right? The highway is more for internal, and then the bridges to connect liquidity, and then the space elevator is kind of like to provide vendors for other blockchains. And we're going to keep this, and we're going to update from time to time as things come. And if you have any suggestions and ideas as well, actually a lot of these are actually coming from talking to community, talking to people. So if you have any ideas, we will build that from time to time. And over time, so we're going to add a lot more technical details behind all of this to provide more clarity on how all of these can be achieved. With that, kind of end this talk. You can learn more at DeFiChain.com for new users who are new to DeFiChain. Any other questions that you have on this? I hope it provides a bit of a kind of a North Star on where DeFiChain will head.
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for the presentation. Really great. Like you mentioned, the star elevator is just an idea for the future, an outlook, what we can do together with the things already live or going live this year, DeFi Meta Chain. And I think it's really helpful to give some input to the community, be creative. What can we do with our system in the next step? One step further than DeFi Meta Chain. And the other things we mentioned before. There's also one question I want to raise. are great features. Here, for example, if we have this multi-bridge environment and we come from Solana over DeFi to Ethereum, how is it done? There's a question, is this swap to DeFi or is it then a wrapped token? What is your answer?
It's if we think about bridges, they will probably be more of a wrapped version of it because that guarantees 1-to-1. But it can also be a swap as well. It's not an exclusive kind of operations here. So if it's a swap, it can also happen as well through a cross-chain swap. Yep.
Okay, then a very technical question. What's about Taproot?
Yes. So the way that we're gonna interface with Bitcoin, we'll likely be using the smart contracts layer of Bitcoin, which is Taproot. Also, this is what enables the ordinals NFT that we've seen on Bitcoin space last week or so being blown up using Taproot space. So the way that the tokens on DeFiChain side will get into Bitcoin will right now it's very likely it's gonna go through Taro on Taproot. So that's probably going to be where the tokens will sit on DeFiChain side. I mean, on Bitcoin side.
Yeah.
It comes Taro as well. Yep.
Is the expert here in the chat. Yeah, no more from the chat. Then again, thank you, U-Zyn, for presenting us your thoughts, what's coming next, what's a little bit behind the scene. We decided, you mentioned before, to extract or separate the current development of the Defi Meta Chain because they are really busy in working on it. We postponed it a little bit to maybe end of March, where we have a new tech talk with then a lot of details, what's coming with Defi Meta Chain. This was more the start in the year with a kind of vision. What is DeFiChain about and what can be next? Again, thanks for the thoughts. Really great. I'm happy to have you on board here. Now I can think about on my own what can be the future. Really great. Wordless.
Thanks. Thanks, DZ. My pleasure there to share some ideas there. So if you have any ideas as well, DZ and community, if you have any ideas, please tweet them, share them on Reddit, and we can all see where DeFiChain heads here. And these are all very, very real. I mean, also think about the core strength that we have. It's very real. We are very, very unique in the world of blockchain that we see here.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
With this,
thanks.
Nearly 45 minutes. Thanks for the show. Have a nice day, all out there watching live. The rest of you, hopefully you are watching it a little bit later. It's worth to watch this tech talk and all the future episodes. And then see you the next time here live on stage with the developers of the Defi Meta Chain. Great. Thanks and goodbye.
Thank you.